Hi, everyone. Welcome. I am Lilian Chukura. I am an immigration lawyer at Lily Legal, where I help my clients get status for themselves and for their families using the U.S. immigration law system. So, today I want to talk to you about the benefits. Yes, the benefits of having a green card. Once you have that card, what do you actually get? Right? Sometimes you hear me talk all the time and about getting the card, but most people may not know what you actually get once you have that permanent residency in the US. So I just want to go through and talk to you about the benefits of having a green card. Now, as always, if you have any questions about this or anything else, you can book a time to talk to me personally by going to my website, lilylegal.com, or by calling my office at 508-443-1788. Um, so the reason I wanted to do this topic today is because I had a potential client come in and she was confused. Right? She wanted to file for her husband to get a green card, but because she was born in the US, she didn't really understand what the benefit of having a green card is. So I had to go through this whole thing about what you get once you have that green card, what you're able to do once you have that permanent residency. And that just made me think that there might be people out there that don't understand the power or the freedom that having that permanent residency actually gives you. So I want to take the time and go over that. Now, if you are watching me and you have any questions, either about the topic I'm talking about or about immigration in general, feel free to put it in the comments. As always, I love hearing your questions. I love reading your questions and going back and answering them. If you're watching on the replay, you know you can put your questions in the comments. I do go back and respond, and depending on your question, I may do a whole video responding to it. So go ahead and put your questions in the comments. Again, your questions do not have to be about this topic, it can be about immigration in general. But today, I will be talking about this. This is immigration chat. So I would love it if you can put in the comments where you're joining me from and just let's make this a conversation. Okay. Let's make this a conversation, guys. So the first thing most people want to know is you get the freedom of knowing that the US government is not going to come after you, right? That's one of the biggest benefits of having your green card is that you get this amazing benefit of knowing that you are legally in the United States. You are legally allowed to stay in the United States, right? The US government has said that you are here legally. They are not going to try to deport you because you now have this residency. That's something that millions of people in the US do not have, right? That assurance that you have status is something that millions of people don't have. So that is one of the first things that my clients really appreciate about having a green card is that they can finally breathe, right? You can finally breathe knowing that you are not you are not here without documentation anymore. The next thing is you, if you don't already have one, are able to get a social security number. For anyone that lives in the US, you know that having a social security number is super beneficial because that helps you not only, right? So having a social security number not only puts you in the system in general, but it makes it possible for you to open bank accounts. There are certain banks that will not let an immigrant open an account without a social security number. So that is something that's really, really important in having that social security number. You're able to work now with your permanent residency. The green card is a work authorization that allows you to live and work in the US. Okay. So with your green card, your social security number, you are able to not only apply for jobs and work legally in the US, you are also able to apply to get your driver's license. You're able to apply for certain benefits, health insurance, things that you were not previously able to do. And that's something that for um, for people born in the US and have access to some of these things, it might not seem like such a big deal. But being here and not having access to health insurance, knowing the cost of healthcare in the US is big. It's big for my clients. So when it comes to being able to finally be able to get health insurance, apply for health insurance, either get it through your job or through the state, whatever means you qualify to get health insurance. Now with your permanent residency and with your social security number, you are able to now fully live in the US, right? You're able to get that health insurance if you didn't have one initially. And in my state, Massachusetts, we have something called Mass Health Limited. So if you're an immigrant in the US, in Massachusetts specifically, there is a specific health insurance that you're able to get so that you can get emergency medical care here in Massachusetts. So what typically happens is my clients would apply for that and they're able to use it for emergency care. Once they're able to get their social security number and get their green card, now they can apply for the full mass health benefits, right? Now you can actually get routine care, not just emergency care. And, that is a big deal for someone that had to pay out of pocket for basic medical checkups to now be able to have health insurance is a big deal. So that is one of the benefits that I stress to my clients. And now they are able to apply and get full coverage for their medical healthcare needs. So it is one of the great benefits of being able to get your green card. Okay. The next thing, which I already sort of mentioned, is you being able to work, live and work in the US. You can live in any state in the US that you want. You can work anywhere in the US that you want because now you have your green card, which serves as a work authorization. Okay. It is not limited. You have it. You can work. You can apply for jobs. Um, and again, that's a great benefit. There are millions of people in the US that do not have the ability to just go and apply for work because they don't have a work authorization. So, with a green card, you can now apply for a job in your name with your social security number, with your details, and the freedom that comes from that. I have seen several of my clients go through this process of they may have been working before they got their green card, but being able to go in and apply with their own name, with their own credentials, and get a job and get their paycheck in their name, get like it is such a it's such an amazing feeling to know that I helped someone get to that point. It's just, it really makes my job one of the best things in the world for me. So that's a great benefit of having a green card is basically being able to work anywhere in the US and knowing that you are no longer limited by your status when it comes to employment. Now, before I say that, I know someone out there is going to say, well, you can't apply for every single job because some of the jobs require you to be a citizen. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. There are certain government jobs out there that require you to be a citizen. But unless you want to apply for those jobs, there are millions of other um, types of jobs that you can apply for that do not require the person to be a citizen. So before someone says that in the comments, I just want to address that. There are certain jobs, especially with the government, um, especially with the Defense Department, that requires the person to be a US citizen. But that's not what I'm really talking about when I say that you can apply for most any job out there. Okay. So, next great benefit is being able to travel. Okay. Being able to travel outside the US. That's something that I think a lot of us that have been in the US and have status, we may have a green card, or we may have our citizenship, or you may have been born in the US. And we take it for granted that we can just travel outside of the US anytime we want. But there are people that have been in the US for 20 years, 10 years, and never been outside of the US, never been able to go home and see their family. And being able to get that green card and book that ticket and go home and know that you can just come back, right? You may be going for a month and you go on your trip and you can just come back and know fully well that the US government will allow you to come back into the US. That is, oh, that is one of the greatest feelings. I remember trying to reach out to a client of mine after she got her green card just to, see how things are going. And he was like, "Hey, I'm not even in the US right now. Okay. I traveled. I am not in the US. I will be back in a month." But that's just that feeling of knowing that this person that has been in the US for over a decade without seeing their parents, without seeing any of their family members, is now able to just get on a plane and go home knowing, being secure in the fact that they can just come back to the US. If that is not, you know, if that does not make you appreciate the power of having a green card, I don't know what will. Okay? The power that the green having that green card gives you is so um monumental. And it's so freeing. There's people that are here and they're not able to go home to attend funerals because they don't have that status, right? They're not able to see their parents before they pass, or family members before they pass, because they have to be here until they have that status. So, again, if you are able to travel, do not take it for granted. Know that there are millions of people that are not able to leave the US. Um, for some of us, it's an option, right? It's our decision not to go outside of the US. But for other people, that choice is kind of taken away. So that's why when I was talking to the potential client that didn't understand why it was so important for her partner to have a green card, that really struck her, because being able to just go to Canada, right? Being able to take a weekend trip to Canada um, or Mexico is not possible if you don't have a green card to come back, right? You can go, but you won't be able to come back. So it's one of those things that if you don't understand the the limitations that are in place for people that do not have a green card in the US, you really wouldn't understand the benefits. So that's why I wanted to take the time and talk about the benefits, because sometimes we talk about the residency so much, how to get residency, that we forget to talk about the benefits, right? What does the person actually get? Um, Now, another benefit for my students out there is that you are now able to apply for financial aid. Okay. So if you are in the US and you do not have status, you are not able to apply for financial aid to go to school, which is one of the best ways to afford um, university or college in the US. And that's not possible if you do not have status. You will have to pay everything out of pocket if you don't have status, unless you are able to get a scholarship from an organization that's specifically for people that do not have status. Okay. So it is so important, because if you, for example, if you have children in the US and they are getting ready to go to school, getting to university, and they need to apply for financial aid, you don't have a social security number, you are not able to fill out the forms. Now you have to pay out of pocket, unless your kids are able to get scholarships on their own, because they're in, they're US citizens, or and their academics are great. So it is hard on families and individuals that are here by themselves and not able to fully take advantage of the education system here, because they're not able to get financial aid. So that is another great benefit of going going ahead and getting your green card in the US, is being able to get financial aid. Um, I know some people think you have to be a citizen to be able to get financial aid. I can personally tell you that is not the case. You can still apply for financial aid if you have um, a permanent residency in the US, because you need either to show that you're a permanent resident or you're a citizen to be able to qualify for federal financial aid and some state financial aid as well. So it is so important that people understand the benefits. And if you are an immigrant and you have your green card and you want to apply for school, go ahead and also apply for financial aid, because um, if you're able to qualify for financial aid, that's going to really make it possible for you to further your education and not have so much out of pocket expense to go to school here in the US. So that is a great, great benefit. Okay. So if you're watching me and you like what I'm talking about, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. If you have questions about this or anything else immigration related, go ahead and put it in the comments. Tell me where you're joining me from. Tell me um, if you're finding this helpful. Go ahead, ask your questions. As you all know, depend on your questions, I may do another video just answering them. So go ahead and ask me your questions. This is Immigration Chats. This is for me and you to talk. So don't be shy. Go ahead and ask me your questions. If you prefer to DM me your questions, you can do that on the Lily Legal page. Okay. So feel free to ask questions. Okay, there's no probably whatever question you have, someone else does, and they just don't feel comfortable asking it. So don't be shy. Go ahead and ask your questions. Okay, so And that goes for you too. If you're watching this on the replay, you can ask me your questions. I do go back and respond to the questions. So don't be shy now. So, those are the main benefits. So, I'm just going to run through them again. You are able to live and work in the US with the freedom of knowing that you don't have to worry about ICE because you are legally here. You have legal documentation and you don't have to be afraid of ICE anymore because you are fully documented with your green card. Okay. Secondly, you are able to work in the US in your name with your social security number. You are now able to fully work, and there's not going to be a limit on your social security card. So that's something else that happens is if you only have a work authorization and not a green card, your social security card may say limited, right? It may say um, valid with a work authorization. Now, if you get your social security card after you get your green card, it wouldn't have that limitation on it. So that's just something to keep in mind. If you do have that limitation on your card because you had a work authorization first before your green card came in, you can always try to update it with the Social Security Administration. Or if it doesn't bother you, you can just keep using that and knowing that your green card is your work authorization. Just like when you become a citizen, your citizenship certificate, your US passport is your work authorization. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Even if your social security card says um, valid only with a work authorization, your green card is a work authorization. You can apply for jobs without limitation with a green card. Okay. So that's a great benefit of that. Your ability to travel outside the US, right? That's one of the great benefits is that now if you haven't been to your home country for several years, you are now able to go and visit and come back to the US. I do want to mention if you are traveling, make sure to limit your time outside of the US. Remember that your residency is now permanently in the US. So your time inside the US should reflect that the US is your permanent resident country. Okay. So if you're going to be outside of the US for a year or more, you should be applying for a re-entry permit, which allows you to be outside of the US for up to 2 years. If you are outside of the US for a year or more, you could run into problems trying to come back. So I always want to um, just give that little caveat. If you are traveling on a green card, make sure you limit, limit your time outside of the US. It is very important because you don't want to have your green card and then lose it because you were outside for too long. That's something you definitely don't want to happen. Okay. So just know, limit your time outside of the US um, so that you don't run into the problems that I have seen several people run into where they're trying to come back and the um, the officer at the airport basically put them in deportation proceedings because they stayed out of the US for way too long without a really good explanation as to why. So, really keep that in mind when you are traveling with a green card. The um the next benefit is being able to not only work, live, travel, but apply for financial aid, apply for health insurance. Those are great benefits that you are now able to do with your green card. Something else that you're now able to do is once you qualify, you are able to apply to become a US citizen and get the full benefits of being a citizen. So that is something that I really like going over with my clients once they get their citizenship, so that they know when they qualify, once they get their green card, so they know when they qualify for citizenship, and they're not guessing. That's something that a lot of people are not sure if it's 3 years or 5 years. Well, let me make it clear. If you got your green card through marriage and you're still in that marriage, it is 3 years. If you didn't get your green card through marriage to a US citizen, but you are married to a US citizen, you can still get your citizenship in 3 years. Everyone else has to wait 5 years. Okay? Everyone else has to wait 5 years. So just keep that in mind when you are trying to decide if you have met the requirements for citizenship. And if you want to hear the full requirements for citizenship, go ahead and watch my video on citizenship, where I break down all the requirements and answer a few of your questions about application process. So feel free to do that if you have questions about applying for citizenship, or when you would qualify for citizenship. Okay, so that is a great benefit, is being able to apply for US citizenship, because once you have that, it is hard to lose it. Okay, so once you have your US citizenship, not only can you travel anywhere in the world, you can now travel with your US passport. There are several countries you can travel to without a visa with your passport. So it is an amazing benefit of being a US citizen, is being able to travel with just your passport and do not having to apply for a visa every time you need to travel to a place like the UK. Okay, so that's another benefit, is being able to apply for citizenship. Okay. If you're joining me and you have questions, please go ahead and put it in the comments. Thank you so much for those of you that are joining me live, and those of you that are going to be watching this on the replay. I truly do appreciate you. Now, if there is any topic, I always put this out there. If there's any immigration topic that you want me to cover in one of these lives, go ahead and put it in the comments as well, so that I will know that it's something that interests you, and I will put it on my list of videos to do for you all. I really want this to be as interactive as possible, and to give you as much information that you want as possible. Okay, I want to make sure that I am giving you what you actually want to know when it comes to immigration law. So go ahead, put your questions in the comments, put your topic suggestions in the comments as well. Okay, so I just want to take a moment and talk about um, a benefit that might not seem obvious to some people. But there are some um, there are some um, towns, local governments, that allow people with um, just a green card to vote in local. Again, I'm talking about local election. This is not something that's everywhere, right? Most municipalities do not have this in place, but the ones that do, you're able to vote on local matters. So, for example, if they're trying to decide on, trash pickup in your local town, you may be able to vote on that. But remember, as a green card holder, you are not able to vote in federal elections. You're not able to register to vote in federal and state elections if those elections require you to be a citizen. Okay, so you cannot vote in local elections if the local elections require you to be a citizen in order to vote. You cannot vote in state elections because those require you to be a citizen, and you cannot vote in federal elections because those require you to be a citizen before you're able to vote. But there are some small municipalities that do allow you to vote on local issues. So that is the only thing on that, is just knowing that what your particular, right, what your particular um, state has, what your particular city or town has in place um, when it comes to voting without being a citizen. Okay, but if you are in doubt, if you are not sure if you're able to vote, um, then my answer to you is don't do it. Okay. If you are not sure if your state or local government allows you to vote um, as a permanent resident, don't register, don't do it. Okay. Because it can um, bite you if you go ahead and register when you are applying. Okay, when you are applying for a work authorization, no, when you are applying for um, your license, in some states the forms automatically check off that you want to register to vote. Just make sure that that box that says do you want to register to vote says no. Okay, make sure it says no, because in some states they will automatically go ahead and register you, and that's not what you want. So it can be hard for some people to notice that. So I like flagging it for you. Make sure that that is taken off if you're applying. Okay. So I'm just going to answer some questions in the comments. Um, Daniel, my office WhatsApp number is actually on the screen. It is the 508-443-1788. You can reach us directly on that number or through WhatsApp on that number as well. And then Slimeball on YouTube is asking what is the processing time for TPS for Haitians, and the current processing time is between 3 to 8 months. Okay, so just keep that in mind. It is between 3 to 8 months for TPS for Haitians. So I hope that answers that question. And then the next question is, what does it mean when it says case is being actively reviewed by USCIS? So this means that your case is on a pile in front of a USCIS officer, and they are reviewing your documentation to see if you qualify or if they need additional documentation. If after reviewing your file, they decide that they need additional documentation, they will ask you for the additional documentation. If they decide that they don't need additional documentation and can approve your case, they will go ahead and approve the case and send you the notice. Okay. So, like I said, for the processing time, it can be anywhere from 3 to 8 months. Um, but it's typically, again, it can be anywhere from 3 to 8 months, but it's typically more like 3 to 5 months. So, just if you are still within that time, go ahead and just wait. If you are outside of that time, you can do one of two things. So you can call the USCIS hotline and ask them what the status of the case is. But if the status of your case If the status of your case says that it is actively being reviewed, that just means it is in front of a USCIS officer, and they're going to be reviewing it to see if they have enough to approve it, or if they're going to need more information or documentation from you. So that just means, again, if it's still within that time frame, so if it's still within the 3 to 5 months, just know that, and it's being actively reviewed, right? It's within 3 to 5 months, it's being actively reviewed. You just have to wait. Okay. If you're someone out there and yours is outside of the 3 to 5 months and it doesn't say it's being reviewed, then you can go ahead and call them, or your lawyer can take care of it, of following up with USCIS and seeing what the case status is. So, but if you are within the time frame, and right, if you're within the time frame and your case is being actively reviewed, you just have to wait. Okay. It's not you know, it's not, oh, this is what you do. Once it says actively reviewed, it does mean that they are reviewing it. So you just have to wait for them to either make a decision or ask you for more documentation. They do not typically outright deny it. If they can, if they can, if they can give you an opportunity to provide more documentation, they will do that before making a final decision. But if they don't need anything from you after reviewing it, they'll just approve it and move it along. Okay, so some patience is required when you're dealing with USCIS, but it looks like things are moving along for you, and that is great. Okay, and you are very welcome. Now, anyone else have any questions? Go ahead, put them in the comments. We're here to chat, we're here to talk, and I am more than happy to answer your questions. Okay. Um, so, for those that are just joining, we were talking about the benefits of having a green card. And if you have questions on that or any other immigration topic, go ahead, put it in the comments. I am, that is all I have for you today. So if you have questions, go ahead and ask. I'll stay on if there's questions. But if there is no questions, we can go ahead and conclude this meeting today. So, again, go ahead, ask your questions. If you are watching on the replay, thank you so much for watching. And know that you can put your questions in the comments because I am here to respond to you. So, go ahead, put your questions in the comments, even if you're watching on the replay. Okay. So, as always, if you have any questions about this or anything else, you can book a time to talk to me by going to my website, lilylegal.com, or by calling my office at 508-443-1788. You can also send us a message on WhatsApp with that same number, and that number is also on the screen. Um, if you're watching this, the number will be on the screen, and all my contact information will be in the description to this video. So go ahead and um, look there if you're not able to get the number on the screen. So that is okay. So I see more questions coming in. Um, let's see. If your citizenship is under review, what can you do? So it depends on the reason that it is under review. If it's that you apply for citizenship and it's still within the processing time and the officer is reviewing your case to see if they need additional documentation, then you just have to wait. If you've already had your interview and the case is still and you still don't have a decision and it's been a few months, you should be contacting an immigration lawyer to help you with that, and get that moving along. So definitely would need more information as to why it's under review and where you are in the process. So there's a different, there's a difference between you filed and you're still waiting for an interview versus you filed, you had an interview, and there seems to be an issue. Okay. So depending on where you are in the process, the actions that need to be taken will be different. Okay. So feel free to reach out if you want to discuss this further. But it just depends on where you are in the process. All right. So Rebecca is asking, I am a green card holder. Can I file for my family and also send an invitation for my mother? So a green card holder can file for their spouse and their unmarried children. Okay. So as long as you're if you have children, as long as they're unmarried, a green card holder can file for them. A green card holder As a green card holder, you cannot file for your parents, but I believe you're asking about sending an invitation. Again, your mother has to qualify for a visiting visa, so you can send an invitation, but she would have to independently qualify for a visiting visa. So feel free to watch my visiting visa video, because I go through what you actually need to show in order for the person you want to send an invitation for to get the visa. So your invitation is only one part of the whole process. So that's really important to keep in mind. The invitation does not mean she's going to get the visa. She would also have to show that she will go back, that she has sufficient ties to her home country, that once she finishes her trip, she will be going back. So, this is one of the hardest things for people to really um, understand, because once you send the invitation, you're saying that you're going to support the person when they're here. But then the US, um, the officer at the embassy might be looking at other factors. And those other factors are whether the person, in this case, your mother, has ties to their home country. Do they have a job? Do they have a business? Do they have a position that requires their attention and they can't be gone for a certain number of a certain amount of time? Do they have family members that they're taking care of, so they can't be gone for that long? That So all those things are factors that go into the ties to home country. So it is really important that when you're deciding on whether to apply for the green card, to apply for the visiting visa for a parent as a green card holder, or anyone trying to invite someone to the US for a visit, that you know that it's not just your invitation alone that's going to make it possible for the person to come to the US. The person will also have to qualify. So, for example, if the person you're filing for is a student that's 21, doesn't have any ties, doesn't have a job, doesn't have much family, doesn't really have anything other than the fact that they're a student, the chances of them getting a visa is lower than someone, let's say, that has um you know, a wife, kids, a job, that they are like executive vice president of some company. They're probably going to get a visa faster than the student. So it's really, it really just depends on what that ties are and how strong the ties are. So, like I said, I do have another video that goes into more detail, but thank you so much for that question. Does anyone have any other questions today? Okay, so I don't see any other questions coming in. So that is going to be it for us today. Thank you so much for your time. And remember, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you know someone who needs to hear this, please go ahead and share this video with them. And if you are listening in a place that you can subscribe, and you don't want to miss any of my lives or uploads, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And once again, I am Lilian Chukura. I am the owner of Lily Legal, where we help our clients get status for themselves and for their families using the U.S. immigration law system. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week, Friday, for more immigration chat. Bye.